Hello and welcome everyone to Ruslan's Bortnik YouTube channel. My name is James Thalberg and I'm here today with Ruslan Bortnik going to discuss the latest about Ukraine and around Ukraine. Ruslan, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, James, for invitation.
Of course. Ruslan, over a decade of a war, civil war, international war in Syria, finally the regime has been changed. Assad with his family fled to Russia, and rebels are currently trying to form a new government or at least regulate the situation. What do you think has happened in Syria? Who stands behind it? And how can we connect it to the war in Ukraine?
Of course, we don't know exactly what we are going on behind this political and front lines in the very quiet rooms in the Middle East in that moment. But we can count now who is in advantage in this situation and who lost in this situation. This was very tricky changing of this regime in Syria, because I'm not talking about the withdrawal of Assad and his family. I'm talking about the role of Russia in this situation. Russia was the main enemy of rebels during the war, which started in 2011. Russia interrupted that war in 2016. And Russia made a significant influence on that war with Iranians together. They helped Assad to win that war till 2020. And the level of hatredness to Russia, in rebels were extremely high. But at the same time, we now see that Russian troops are just arriving by the Syrian roads. No one is trying to attack them. Russian embassy is still working in Damascus. Russian bases are still on their Syrian territory, and no one is trying to withdraw them or attack them. Moreover, even green flag of rebels appeared in the embassy of Damascus of Syria, in the embassy of Syria in Moscow now. So it's very tricky changes, and it looks like at the same moment Russian government made a decision to don't support Assad, don't waste the resources, limited resources to this war. And of course, in this situation was lost not only by Russia, because there will be significant problems for Russian to save their bases in this region if the new government in Syria will be strong. Of course, because this country is still deeply divided on many zones, many tribes, many criminal groups, many radical groups. Moreover, partially this country is controlled by the Turkey and partially controlled by the United States through their Kurdish allies, and partially is controlled by the Israel.
Yeah, because they're entering now through Golan Heights into the buffer zone that was designated there since 1974 to split the two armies.
But any case, except of Russia, the biggest loser, I think, it's Iran in this situation, because Syria was an important part of Iranian land bridge, which was connected Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Libya.
And Lebanon, yeah.
At the same moment, also there will be a significant problem for China. And maybe it's surprising, but China was also the last international visit of Assad was to China, and there is a strict connections with last visit of Yanukovych, president of Ukraine, to China before his withdrawal. But the last visit of Assad was to China. They made an agreement about the investment to Syria. And moreover, one of the most radical anti-Chinese military group, I'm talking about the Turkestan party, which consists of ethnic Uyghurs, is also winner in this situation. And this group already declared their goals to make a free the Uyghurs autonomy and to start the war against China. Who are the main winners in this situation? Turkey in any case, but there will be a lot of troubles for Turkey also, because they are not able to control over all this segmented government of Syria, of possible Syria. Also, maybe winners United States because of falling Assad regime, and Israel in this situation. But at the same time, look at the situation of worsening relations on Syrian topic between United States and Turkey, because Turkey started to attack the United States allies Kurds in that region, and United States. There are a lot of voices inside of United States which are calling the United States government to make a strike on Turkey and to save and to defend their allies Kurds in this region. It's not only a humanistic position of the United States. You need to understand. It's also a topic of questions, because it's also a topic of money and the geopolitical questions. Because now Kurds in Syria controls over the main oil fields of the states, and this state is very rich on oil, on gas, and another very expensive natural resources. So it looks like we have a salad plate with a lot of components, without any so good source of agreements or really good relations, and these plates are moving all the time, thundering all the time. So, moreover, I want to make sure that the risk of increasing, rising even new IGIL, Islamic State, or ISIS, yes, Islamic State, or risk of rising of Al Qaeda is extremely high in this situation, because a lot of prisoners of Assad, part of them were from ISIS and from Al Qaeda, were liberated, and now they are released, free to do what they want, and now they are free to unite their groups, their political parties, their military commanders. For me, Syria now very reminded like Afghanistan, reminded that situation which was before the ISIS rise in 2015, 2016, 2016, 2015, 2016, and earlier.
If we go back to look at the situation from the Russian perspective, you've mentioned that they have made a decision not to help and support Assad to control the country because of limited resources. Why do you think they have made that decision? Why are their resources are limited? And isn't that a big hit to their international agenda that they've been trying to build so hard in terms of Russians are bringing control and stabilization to the world arena?
It's a very important question, because look at the situation. Russian forces are not defeated in Syria. In comparing, Iranian forces in Syria are partly defeated. Few Iranian generals were killed, and so on. Very strange situation. Why it happened? I have only suggestions in this situation. The first suggestion may be Russia get the correct analysis of situation and made a decision to save its own forces. But Russia has in Syria maybe 20, maybe even more thousand of personnel. Russia has in Syria a lot of resources. Russia spent on Syrian bases not less than 40 billion United States dollars for all this time of being there. So Russia is using the saving strategy. Is trying to save these forces and is trying to withdraw them partly, and maybe these forces could be used in Ukraine. Moreover, Russia has a chance and hope to make an agreement with a new Syrian government, and Russia has something to propose for this government. The first thing which Russia is proposing for each Syrian government, it's absolutely unknown in public sphere. I'm talking about this the first time. The first thing which is Russia proposing for the new Syrian government is a different type of agriculture production. I'm talking about the grain, I'm talking about the meat and so on. Syria is a very poor country. It's very low level of consumption country. And the dangers of hunger is very real for this country. And Russia is trying to buy new Syrian government.
To bribe them, yeah.
To bribe and to buy the Syrian government in this situation. And the second reason I can't exclude that there was some kind of agreement between Russia and United States on Syrian topic, because the main partner of United States in this region is Israel. And this is additional victory of Israel, and of course it's a defeat of Iran, who is main enemy of Israel. And it could be some kind of separate agreement between Russian government, Russian military commanders, and United States government, United States military commanders. Look how freely United States soldiers and officers are achieving the Russian bases, absolutely completed, absolutely undestroyed, absolutely ready for use, for further use. It's also very symbolic things, but I have no any facts. I have no
factual insight.
Yes, I have only
get
reasons, and but you can also see it on the video. Of course, it's a problem for Russia, but of course it's a kind of defeat of Russia. Of course, if Russia will lose the bases in Syria, it will make a significant troubles for Russia to operate in North Africa and other regions. But it looks that there is also something more except of this situation, except of just a military defeat. Moreover, this Assad's withdrawal is also an example from Western media to show how Russia is weak. But for us, for Ukrainians, it's also an example how fragile would be the government if we are talking about the long-term war. Syrian society, at the same moment, the Syrian society became very tired because of war. And of course, they didn't want to be a part of Islamic State or something like this. The bigger part of society willing to be a part of secular state, but the corruption, but the poverty, but the tiredness lead this country to the breaking of the government, because people are looking for the stability, are looking for the strong power now after the years and years of the war.
It's important to mention that what you're saying, that even if the war can go on for over a decade, at some point when all the parties are just completely tired and the population is exhausted, things can collapse just like they did in Syria in a matter of 12 or 13 days. I want to go again back to the Russian situation, and we discussed it from the international perspective, but now if we talk about the Ukrainian-Russian war, there is a start to negotiations, or like hint into negotiation between the Russian and the Ukrainians to end this war, to freeze the war, or just to put it on pause. And both sides are not very eager to pause or freeze the war. They want to go on. Now, especially Ukraine is saying that they're not going to stop unless they get the guarantees, NATO invitations. They want strong securities, which makes sense because they don't want the repetition of the war. But if before the Syrian situation, we could have see a potential start of negotiation because both parties or both sides, I'm talking about the Ukrainian and Russian, are quite exhausted. Now it can send a wrong signal to Ukraine. Hey, look, Russia is weak on the international arena. They're giving up on their geopolitical assets. Wouldn't that make Ukrainians want to continue fight because clearly Russia is stepping backwards, or at least send that kind of signal?
Yeah, it's very strange situation, but the Russian and Ukrainian government are very common in the statements of unacceptable any freeze of conflict. They are against Russian and Ukrainian government officially are against any freezing of the conflict. Both governments are making statements about the will to continue the fight till the victory.
Yeah, because nobody has achieved their goals.
Of course, we could think that it's a game or to hire the stakes before the negotiation. But I think situation is more even complicated. I think because of Putin and Zelensky are feeling very dependent on the results of the war personally, in terms of power, in terms of keeping power or in terms of losing power. For them both, it's much easier way to keep the situation like as it is now.
The way it is.
Yeah. And so the situation is very dangerous. Of course, there are a few layers. I know a few layers of expert consultation in preparation of the possible peaceful agreement. But this agreement could be real only if the Trump will use all its energy and a significant resource of the United States to push the sides to make this agreement. Moreover, both sides are trying to claim each other in blocking the peace negotiation. Both sides are trying to win the war inside of head of Trump for the better position. Russia is trying to say for the United States that Ukraine is guilty of continuation of the war. Ukraine is trying to say the same, and it's going on. Europe is not also very ready to make any compromises, but without compromises, we are not able to stop this war because no one won this war still. And as I know, as I'm talking with my American colleagues, the general position of United States will be like this. Here is our plan, or our attitude to the ending of this war, and if you are not accepting this approach and this plan, you can count on our relations and our support, our help in the future, or you can stand with even our restrictions and sanctions. It's if you are talking about Ukraine and Russia. But if you are talking about, for example, Germany or France, about the European allies of the United States, they are saying for European like this: you will be, it will be, if you are not accepting our approach, it will be only your problem. It's war near your borders. It will be your money, your resources, your military supplies to Ukraine. You will love this problem yourself. This is a very clear position of the Trump. You can accept me and my propositions, or you can refuse it, but you need to know that refusing of this proposition will lead you to the very significant consequences.
You've mentioned the potential future agreement. Trump has met with Zelensky and Macron last week. What do you think they have been discussing? Because right after that conversation, Macron has announced that he wants to create a buffer zone in Ukraine and even looking for allies that at the moment not very successful because, for example, Poland has declined that invitation to participate in that buffer zone and send their own soldiers. Is that part of the future agreement to freeze or pause the war?
I think it's a Macron's reaction for the Trump words that you need to resolve this problem your own sources, European sources. It's not American problem. It's not US problem. So you need to prepare the peacekeeping forces or expeditional corpus to save Ukraine, to split the enemy sides, and so on. It's only a reaction, but you know that Polish government refused this proposition.
Yeah,
And
but Polish said that they're not interested to participate. But that makes sense because they're on the border with Russia. If something goes wrong, they will clearly have enough of the consequences of that plan.
but French or Britain troops are not independent peacemakers. Also, they are part of NATO. They made a lot of sanctions for Russia. Russia will not accept their role like a peacekeepers. And if they will come to the territory of Ukraine, Russia will call them the occupational forces, and Russia will call them the enemy sides, the fighting sides, and they will become a part of this war immediately. So I think it's a political game from Macron.
But let's play this game. If Russia's going to call them an enemy and they will call them that they're directly participating in this war, then they're basically saying that we are at war with NATO and they will have to start.
No, it doesn't mean it's war with NATO, because United States hasn't achieved any decision to start the war with Russia. And many countries inside of NATO, like Hungary, Slovakia, and others, they are saying, no, we will not be fighting with Russia. It means that we are war in some countries from NATO. It's some another situation, and it's their own responsibility in this situation. Of course, Russia can make strikes of French and other troops on the territory of Ukraine. Like Ukraine and Western partners are making strikes on North Korean troops on the territory of Russia. And this will be one more stage of this hybrid but war.
Like an escalation to the next stage. Ruslan, can we look at the situation on the front line on the visual map? Because we haven't been discussing it and looking at the map for the past week and a half. What are the updates there? How is the Donbas region looking like? Are Russians still advancing, or Ukrainian side was able to stabilize the situation at the front line?
Let's look for the situation for the last week, for example. I think it will be very, very presenting.
Insightful.
Yes, and useful. What is going on? I am connecting to the map for our translation. I hope you see the map.
It's loading. Yeah, there you go. The map is with us. Yeah.
Yes, map. We have we have two warmest places in this world. The first warmest place is, of course, is Kursk region. This blue dot is a part of Kursk region, 20 kilometers of width, which is under the control of Ukrainian forces. And the Russian forces, Russian army, is trying to do the best to withdraw Ukrainian forces from these lands till the starting of the negotiation with the participation of the Trump, till the January 20th. And in this region, there are going a very extremely hard fights, and Ukraine is slowly losing the control over this region. Now Ukraine controlling over near 495 square kilometers of this territory, but on the beginning of this week it was much bigger. It was 535 square kilometers. So we lost on near 40 square kilometers of this land during the week. Moreover, exact in this place, in this front, realized the using of North Korean troops. I think you can see a lot of
we can see more evidence now of the participation
of
of
using
the
these forces on this direction. It made some influence on the front line.
But not significant.
Yes, I can say that it was a radical influence, but in any case, it made additional troubles for Ukrainian forces. So this region, this Kursk part of Kursk region of Russian Federation, is one of the two main stages of this war in this moment. And the fight against Kursk region is very important for the future positions in peace negotiations, because till that moment, before only one Ukrainian soldiers is on Russian internationally recognized lands, Russia is not able to say that I am winning this war. It looks like there is not a draw, but it looks like there is also resources in Ukrainian side to continue this war and to push Russia to suffer, very deeply suffer in this war. And the second very important point is, of course, it's region of Pokrovsk region and Kurahovo region. Russia is trying to close these places to achieve these regions, because this region, Pokrovsk region and Kurahovo region, they are last good settled urban places till the Zaporizhia and Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. And you will see now in the map how was Russian move in these directions, and how was Russian achievements in this direction. You can see how Russia get more and more lands. Near 130 square kilometers Russia captured in this direction only for the last 7 days. Kurahovo is almost captured by the Russian forces. Only industrial part, no non-habitant part is under control of Ukrainian forces, and the Russian forces became much closer to the Pokrovsk. They are in preparation to the defense offensive operation to the Pokrovsk. Then you can see we have only a village, a very town place without big rivers, without the big settlements, which Russia can use to continue its offensive operation to the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast in Zaporizhia Oblast. Moreover, one additional very important point I want to show is the city of, it's a settlement of Udachne. It's unknown settlement in the world, but it's a very known settlement if you are talking is about in the circumstances in specialist of iron mining or of coal mining and so on, because this settlement is extremely important for Ukrainian economy, because in neighborhood in this settlement there are some very important coal mining, very special coal mining. Cox coal is coal for preparing for developing the iron, and these mines are situated here near the Udachne, and Russia is trying to achieve this very important, very expensive coal mines.
Are those mines active at the moment?
From two of three. One is almost captured, two are still working. And you can see another important things in this region. Only 9 kilometers to the border of Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, which Medvedev also made a hint for the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Medvedev said that maybe additional Ukrainian regions will also want to become a part of Russia. He is talking about this Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, which is very, very important industrial regions of Ukraine.
You mean potentially will want to become part of Russia? He's hinting that if they'll get close to the border, they'll keep pushing the front line and they can potentially annex another region.
Annex additional Ukrainian region.
Yeah.
And also for me, it looks like the sites has additional military reserves. and it could be additional military offensive operation. Ukrainian side maybe will make a additional operation through the borderline with Russian Federation. And the Russian forces are preparing to the offensive operation in the Zaporizhia direction against Orikhovo and maybe Gulay-Pole in this region. So
what is the distance? Sorry that I'm cutting you off. What is the distance between the front line at the moment and Zaporizhia city?
It's not far away. The straight distance is only near 30 kilometers, as I remember. Yes, near 30 kilometers.
30, what is the range of potentially artillery attacks? Like, at what point the city will be
if we're talking about the field or artillery, the normal range is near 20 kilometers, 15-20 kilometers. But if you are talking about the field artillery,
would you suggest to the people of the city Zaporizhia to start
I
planning
made it in spring this year, and everybody who is watching our channel knows it, and many people moved from Zaporizhia already. But Zaporizhia, in any case, is extremely important place of this war. Not only because it was claimed Russian and Russian included Zaporizhia in the Soviet Constitution, but also because it's a huge industrial potential. It's one of the main, maybe even main Ukrainian industrial center now. And I'm sure that these last weeks till the Trump's inauguration will be very active from the military side. Both sides will try to achieve the best position before negotiation, and they will use everything they have in attempts to bettering their position in the battlefield. Moreover, we remember that with the first question of the Trump plan, the first topic of the Trump peaceful plan will be the stop the fight and freeze the conflict. So it means that the front line will become a new political borderline. Not the legal, not from the international law, but political borderline, and everybody is trying to achieve as much as they can. I want to show you one more map. In the end, it's very interesting map. It's about money map. Very interesting map about money map. Okay, it looks at yours. It's a map of natural resources of Ukraine. I showed it in the previous time, but but not all our viewers have seen it. It's calculation of natural resources of Ukraine in different oblasts, in different regions. And you can see that Russia has occupied the richest regions of Ukraine, Lugansk and Zaporizhia Oblast. And also Russia is in the border of Dnipropetrovsk Oblast and captured the Zaporizhia Oblast. Only these three captured oblasts, Zaporizhia, Donetsk, and Lugansk, together has a known natural resources for the 7 trillion United States dollars. You can count.
So basically, if Russia is capturing those three regions, half of all the natural resources that Ukrainian land is potentially having as its asset will be controlled and captured by Russia.
Yeah, because all Ukrainian assets, which was a topic of discussion between the Ukrainian government and United States allies, all amount of Ukrainian known resources, it's near 15 trillion United States dollars. And 7 is now under the control of Russian Federation. But this is not the last map. I want to show you one more map, which I haven't shown anyone still. And it's also a very interesting map. It's a very direct map of so-called Donbass. Many times we heard the term of Donbass. But Donbass, it's not only Lugansk and Donetsk Oblast. Donbass, it's also Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. If you are talking from the natural resources, geographical topic, from the scientific topic, Donbass, from the coal, iron mines topic, and so on, gas, also oil, also. This Donbas region includes, of course, a bigger part of Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Here is, and this Donbas geographical point going on even for the other side of the Dnieper River till the Krivoy Rog. If we are talking about the mines, economical connections, if we are talking about the physical situation on the ground.
Yeah, it's we're exploring the natural resources in that region.
So
how
Russia
they
is
look like.
fighting not only for the people or lands. Russia is also fighting for the resources,
For
which
economical assets.
he can use in the future in its own economy.
Absolutely. Ruslan, I also want to touch base a little bit more the negotiation piece. We have talked before, and you've mentioned that neither Russia, neither Ukraine is ready for a peaceful resolution of that conflict, and at best, we are going to achieve a frozen conflict, a pause at the front line. If we're discussing hypothetically in theory, let's say in 2025 they will achieve a frozen conflict. They will stop killing each other. The front line will be frozen. What could lead potentially to the second war between Ukraine and Russia? How will it look like? How many years it will take before the conflict can become active again, and that frozen line and paused conflict will be revoked by either of the sides?
For me, this topic is unclear because, and I have a lot of questions to such statements, which I'm hearing a lot from the different experts from the Ukrainian government. For me, such statements, it's like a reason why to don't stop the war. We can't stop the war because the war will go on again in the future. For me, it's very weird, very tricky in this situation. I'm sure that Russia has made a very hard, very bloody consequences from this war. And as we see, Ukrainian and Russian societies, both they don't want to fight anymore. Near 60% of Ukrainian society and 70% of Russian society are standing for the peace. So why I'm talking about this? Because for any government, the future will be very hard to start new war, because everyone will remember how hard it was, how huge losses,
how bloody the war was.
How lot suffers we achieved in this war. Thousands, hundreds of thousands people were killed, were injured. So I think that even frozen of the conflict will not obviously lead us to the war in the future. But if we will be able to make a full-scale peaceful agreement, the possibility of new wars in future is very low.
Reduced.
Very, very low. And only supporters of the war are talking about the future. No one knows the future. But now we know our modern time, we know what is going on right now in our country and around our country.
Do you believe that they'll be able to freeze the front line in 2025 when
I
Trump
think there is a small chance and a small hole. Of course,
if we're talking in percentage, what percentage will you give to a potential frozen conflict?
I don't like to make this in percentage, but I think, unfortunately, the major possibility is continuation of the war, and lower minor possibility is only a freezing this conflict.
Okay,
maybe,
so
maybe we have 10%, maybe 20% to follow this conflict, and everything is depending on the Trump's administration. Now, more to be honest, in the end, the more possible scenario of the end of the war for nowadays, unfortunately, is defeating one of the side, is capitulation of one of the side. It's more possible scenario even than the frozen of the war.
If you're saying that the possibility of the frozen conflict of a peaceful resolution is very low, so most likely the war will continue. And if we look at that from that perspective, for how long do you think that war can last? And I'm not talking about some theory. I'm more so curious from like technical perspective, human resources, economy. For example, in Russia, the interest rate is 23% right now. I'm not an expert in the field. I've just heard other people discussing it on different shows. 23% interest rate. It's an official interest rate because maybe the interest rate unofficially is even higher. It's a very deadly situation for the Russian economy.
If you are talking about the liberal economy, you are right.
Yes,
but
yes,
if
yeah.
you are talking about the common economy, when the government in the hand way spreading the money for military industrial complex, this high rate is a problem only for ungovernmental part of economy, but it doesn't make so significant influence in general economy, which is for 70% or for 60% under the control of government. So you are right. In a good environment, in good, competitive, liberal, democratic political and economy environment. If you are talking about the such system like in Russia, it doesn't make such a hard and sharp influence in Russian economy at this rate.
But this is just going to be like one of the points. I'm sure like Russia suffers other consequences that we haven't mentioned and we haven't discussed. But I'm just trying to outweigh. Russia has its difficulties. Russia has its challenges. Ukraine has its challenges.
Yes, you are right. But I want to address to our international viewers, guys. Economical situation in North Korea or Iran is extremely bad. It's much worse than in Russia. But these countries still are able to fight, to lead the wars. So
if they are able to continue war and have their fights, if we're looking at it from that perspective, for how long do you think that war can continue on the Ukrainian side and on the Russian side?
Sorry for so often interruption of your question.
That's okay. I'm just curious for like long term, like people are curious if we're not able to freeze that conflict, for how long we're gonna keep watching that war going on.
I don't have enough data to count it in a responsible way.
Just roughly,
yes.
like because we had Syria. In Syria, we had a war for over 13 years. Absolutely, right now the situation is not stable, and they can get into different escalations and different conflicts.
But I will try to give an answer for your question. From Ukrainian side, everything is depending on our Western allies. But if you are talking about mobilization, demographical resources, it is almost done. And to lead the war of such high intensity and gather the people to such a war, to the Ukrainian army, Ukraine will be able maybe half a year, maybe 2 years. 2 years, I think it's the biggest term. Then we are not be able to take enough people to our army, and they will be extremely in need to invite our international allies to take part in this war because of demographical issue. Only because of demographical issue. If you are talking about other resources, money and so on, this is already a part of Western support. And if you're talking about Russia, I think we need to remember that Russia made only one wave of mobilization. Russia hasn't made a total mobilization like it is now in Ukraine. So I think Russia has some more time. But also it depends of internal situation. It depends of the collaboration and with China, India, with ability to trade international markets. But I think Russia maybe have 2-3 years, maybe some more, but not very long time. This war is not a Syrian war. This war is very high intensity war, which every side using a lot of resources.
You mean the resources go
Yeah,
faster?
only one few numbers. Every day, each side is losing thousands of soldiers. I'm talking about the killed, injured, and also people who escape from the front line. Every day, only Ukrainian side every day is using more than 2,000 drones. 2,000 drones. We have some days we are using more than 10,000 shells every day. Just imagine how, and it is going almost 3 years. A huge resources, so it can't continue in such intensity for the 10 years, but it can continue for 1-2 years more.
Ruslan, thank you so much for all your comments today and
Thank
insights.
you.
We'll be back next week. And again, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, colleagues. Bye-bye, friends. And don't forget to subscribe for our channel. We are trying to responsible air very honesty, discovery the situation around Ukraine and inside Ukraine for you. Bye-bye.